Continental Cablevision's Channel 12 presents Star Car Races from Bryar Motorsport Park. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. This Bud's for you. Distributed locally by New Hampshire distributors. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back again to Bryar Motorsport Park in Loudon for Wednesday night Star Car Racing here on Channel 12 in Concord. I'm Jim Rivers, and tonight we'll be joining Greg Bryar upstairs trackside for racing, Star Car Racing in the 4, 6, and 8 cylinder. And we've got some interesting point races building up towards the end of the year. And tonight with us back again after some time off, Jerry Venn out of Bow, the #1 point getter in the 4-cylinder Star Car race. You'll be seeing Jerry tonight. Also heading into tonight's action, leading the 6-cylinder Star Cars, Dave McGreevy out of Laconia. He'll be racing tonight. And in the 8-cylinder Star Car races, Mike Kay out of Tilton. They are the point getters heading into this week's action. We hope you enjoyed last week's racing action from Bryar. We'd like to hear from you. Get on the phone and give us a call or drop us a note to Star Car Racing in care of Channel 12, 8 Commercial Street in Concord. And remember, if you racers are involved in these Star Car races at Bryar and you'd like a copy of the race that you're in or any of the races, just simply get in touch with Lorraine at Continental Cablevision and you can have a copy of tonight's proceedings for just $30. We're also going to have the Trophy Dash tonight. It'll be in the 8-cylinder. And, of course, the Trophy Dash is simply a couple laps around for the trophy, and it's kind of a fun thing to watch. In the 4-cylinder tonight, which you'll be seeing when we return, you've got Dick Pearson, Jerry Venn, Bruce Chartier, Bill Blackadar, Ron Osborne, Jimmy Graham, and Ray Brown. Those are the racers tonight in the 4-cylinder, and we'll be bringing you up to date on some of the activity going on down the road here this summer at Bryar. So sit back, enjoy the races tonight. We'll be back with the 4, 6, and 8 cylinders, as well as the Trophy Dash, right after these words from our sponsors. To Bryar Motorsport Park in Loudon. As you can see, a good crowd on hand, ready to enjoy the Trophy Dash. 4 laps, and the 4 cars participating tonight. The #2 point getter, Phil St. Hilaire out of Loudon with 164 points so far this summer. And also the #3 point getter, Slim Martell out of Laconia with 156.5. #4 in the point standings, Brian Davis out of Santa Harbor with his 111 points. And also Lee Wilson out of Henniker, #6 with 98.5 points in the point standings so far. What the drivers do is come over to the sidelines, and Win Damon goes down and interviews the drivers briefly for the crowd on hand. It's piped over the PA system, and you get a chance to hear their comments. Wednesday night, great night to get out and come on over and watch the Star Car races at Bryar. And as you can see, on a good night, there's always a good crowd that turns out. And as we watch this on the 4th of July evening, there's a good fireworks display planned as well. Coming up after our Trophy Dash, we're going to the 4-cylinder Star Car Racing, and that is going to have a field of 7 drivers, led of course by Jerry Venn. And Jerry's had a great summer so far, the #1 point getter in the 4-cylinder Star Car competition with 195 points. And Jerry, of course, has been out for a little while. Bill Blackadar currently ranked #2 at 158.5 points, and that, by the way, is inclusive of tonight's earlier heats. Dick Pearson has moved up from 4th to 3rd. He overtook Willie Ames's car. He has 133.5 points, and Dick, of course, is out of Canterbury. Willie Ames is out of Center Harbor, and Jimmy Graham out of Center Harbor drove for Willie in the earlier heat tonight. So those are the top point getters in the 4-cylinder Star Car race. Leading the 6-cylinder Star Cars so far this summer, David McGreevy. David, of course, out of Laconia. He has 182.5 points so far. Mike Royer of Meredith ranked #2 with 158 points. And in 3rd place is Bob Moran from right here in Loudon with 140. Those are your top point getters in the 6-cylinder Star Car races. Moving over to the 8s, #1 Mike Kay out of Tilton with 170.5, but Phil St. Hilaire, with a pretty good finish in an earlier heat, has moved very close. He is right behind Mike Kay with 164. And in 3rd right now is Glenn Martell out of Laconia with 156.5. Now, the way they do it, it's in reverse heat order. So if you finish in #1, you're the #1 point getter, then you are going to finish a start in the back. So if you win the earlier heat and pick up the 7.5 points, it's added to your season point total, and then the cars are set up in the feature race in reverse order of the point standings. So the lower cars in the point standings will be up front. So it's although it's advantageous for you to try and win that heat and pick up the all-important points, you do start out in the back of the pack. So, for instance, the top point getters in each classification, Jerry Venn, Dave McGreevy, and Mike Kay, will all start in the back of the pack for the feature races. And of course, for the feature races, the point totals double. You get 15 points for finishing first, 12 for second, 10 for third, and on down the line to the 10th spot where you pick up a point. In the heats, in the qualifying heats, they are halved, and if you win a first place finish for a qualifying heat, you pick up 7.5 points. And at the end of the year, the high point getter is the champion of that particular division. And as we said, through the end of June, got some pretty good races shaping up in all of these Star Car races. So if you like some good family entertainment, why not bring the family on out to Star Car Racing at Bryar. Calling the races for us tonight, as he did so well a week ago, Greg Bryar. And Greg, of course, knows the drivers real well, knows a lot of their backgrounds, and really adds a lot of insight to the Star Car drivers here. And right now you're seeing the individual drivers for the 4 Trophy Dash cars getting ready to take off and make the mad dash for the trophy. And then we'll, of course, go right into our feature races of the 4, 6, and 8 cylinder. Star Car Racing on Channel 12. Hope you enjoyed these 2 weeks, and we'd like to hear from you. If you have enjoyed it, get in touch with us at Channel 12, 8 Commercial Street in Concord, and we'd like to hear how you've enjoyed these races. There's a possibility that we could go with a complete summer series next summer if the response is good. So don't sit back and be in the silent majority. Get in touch with us if you'd like to see Star Car Racing more often on Channel 12, right here from Bryar, where there's a whole lot of activity coming up in the summer, including the big NASCAR North Star Car race coming up in August. And Bryar currently is one of only 2 on the NASCAR circuit in the entire country that races on the road race of 1.6 miles. Everybody else is oval. The other track is the Riverside, and they're closing. So pretty soon Bryar will be the only one in the country. We're ready for the Trophy Dash. The 4 drivers are set. Greg Bryar is set. Let's go upstairs.
This should be one good trophy dash. As we said, these guys are real close in points. And you don't see any better excitement than what you'll see in a V8 feature. A lot of tracks boast 30 or 40 cars. Well, we don't boast much more than 15. And as we said tonight, we did lose about 5 of them to the Maine Racing Association, which we do have pretty good support and some real fine racing hardware that does run up at Beach Ridge. So this is all for a trophy, hopefully a kiss from Robin, and other than that, $25 in cash and $25 gift certificate. So Mike will give him a lap around. I'd almost be willing to bet that these guys are going to stay pretty much the same way as what you see them right now. Don't forget, stick around for the fireworks display, as we'll kill all the lights, and it will be one beautiful show, as we can guarantee it, with a reflection off Golden Pond down there and the whole rest of the racetrack. So it's ready to go, and they're rolling. We said it's going to be probably these 4 guys that are going to hang tight, as Phil slips a little bit wide, and going on the inside of him was the 23 Glenn Martell. Brian Davis out in front, Lee Wilson behind him, Glenn Martell and Phil St. Hilaire. Said it's only 4 laps, as trying wide is Lee Wilson, as Glenn Martell gets on the inside of Lee. So Davis out in front, and Wilson and Martell, and it's going to be a good show. There's only, it's a 4-lap race, as we said. Martell has himself into second now, trying to make a move on Brian Davis in the 97. We're coming up on 1 lap for your leader, Brian Davis out of Center Harbor. And see what Glenn does, and trying on the inside, but not able to get it. Brian Davis stays out in front. Glenn Martell, let's see what kind of chauffeur he's got in mind, as it appears as though something happened to Glenn. as he dropped from second to third, and going for your trophy, it's going to be Brian Davis out of Santa Harbor. Lee Wilson finishes in second, and Glenn Martell slowing down in quick fashion. Hopefully it was nothing major for Glenn, as he was making a real good charge on Brian. As we said, in points standings, Brian is running in fifth. So Brian will be coming over to get his checker. This is the auto parts store in Arvin Muffler Trophy Dash, and they sponsor a Trophy Dash in each class once every 3 weeks. So tonight it was the 8-cylinder class. As we said on your Friday night specials, the next one being, I think it was the 19th of July. They run a double point race, which most of the guys have been sticking with as far as points go. And Brian should be pulling up in front of us over here.
Race that lead out.
Okay, the winner of our trophy dash tonight, car number 97, coming around with the victory flag. Brian Davis out of Santa Harbor came into the evening ranked number 5 on the point standings, and with an early first place finish in one of the early heats, has moved up to number 4 ahead of Nicky Claremont. So there's your trophy dash. Hope you enjoyed it. 4 laps, not a whole lot of time to make a move. You got to get out there in front and stay there. We'll be back right after these words from our good sponsors for the 4-cylinder feature race.
I wasn't drafted till the 7th round.
Camera 2.
Well, we've got 7 cars entered in the 4-cylinder feature race tonight, but a good 7, a good field. The top 4 point getters so far this summer at Bryar in 4-cylinder stock car racing are all in this field of 7. You got Jerry Venn, the top point getter, at 195 points. Bill Blackadar, Jerry, of course, from Bill Blackadar from Oldenboro, the second place point getter, 158.5. The third place point getter, Jimmy Graham out of Santa Harbor, driving Willie Ames's car, and the fourth place point getter, Dick Pearson from Canterbury, with 133.5. So 4-cylinder cars for the feature race tonight. And of course, earlier in our qualifying heat, Dick Pearson out of Canterbury won it, followed by Osborne out of Playstar, Ron Osborne. Also racing tonight, Ray Brown out of Holderness, and Bruce Cartier out of Epsom, Hampshire. And as you can see, fireworks have already started tonight, and they'll be having a big fireworks display at the conclusion of our 8-cylinder race. Recapping quickly the trophy dash for you, held earlier in the 8-cylinder. The winner was Brian Davis out of Santa Harbor, car number 97. He's the number 4 point getter in the 8 cylinders. The big cars went, and he won the trophy dash, finishing second in the trophy dash. Lee Wilson out of Henniker, followed by Glenn Martell out of Laconia, and Phil St. Hilaire out of Loudon. So we are just about set and about ready to switch up to Greg Bryar for the call of tonight's feature race, the 4-cylinder cars.
And as we said on our Friday night shows, we usually have spectator racing. So we'll see how well everybody does against the pole sitter Ronnie Osborne. We said that Volkswagen sure does corner awful nice out here, and it's a sweetheart. But some of the guys, a couple of them with their big 2300cc Ford 4 cylinders, have just a little bit of an edge. Okay, and they are off. So we'll hope everybody gets through turn 1 and 2. Turn 1 and 2 has been disastrous to a lot of the guys lately, as Ronnie Osborne in the 55 starts stretching his lead out a little bit. Bruce Cartier in the 77, and Dick Pearson in the 2. Bill Blackadar in the 7. The 16 of Jerry Venn, the 91 of Ray Brown, and the 66 being driven by Jimmy Graham. that Volkswagen is hitting it a little bit harder than what he did in the qualifiers. Last week he was able to stretch out his lead pretty good. The only thing that saved him was coming back in and having a regroup and a restart under a caution. Go ahead. Ronnie Osborne in the Volkswagen, Bruce Cartier in the 77 Bobcat, and Dick Pearson in the Pinto. As Jerry Venn in the 16 car is having his own little private race with the number 7, Bill Blackadar. And Billy getting on the inside of Jerry, 7 and 16. So closing up the gap a little bit. Bruce Cartier trying to catch up on Ronnie Osborne. You got one for that. The hell is it? Cartier is sticking right with that Volkswagen as he's going on the inside of Ray Brown in the 91. As the 66 of Jimmy Graham pulls out. So Volkswagen's got the power in 91. A little bit squirrely out there. Ray Brown, as we said, new car to the track. Having a race of his own, Bill Blackadar and Jerry Venn, the number 16 and the number 7. Your race goes on almost a half a lap in front of him. With Ron Osborne in the 55 Volkswagen, the 77 of Bruce Cartier, and the 2 of Dick Pearson. That Bobcat can do any damage to that 55 Volkswagen. As Ronnie Osborne, as we said, does have definite advantages in the turns, but lacks just a little tiny bit in the straights. But I think he's pushing it a little bit more to the max than what he was in the qualifier, as he didn't see himself getting passed by one of the Ford products. So Jerry Venn in the 16 and Bill Blackadar in the 7 are still having a good race out there, half a lap behind. As Bruce is just trying to find out where that Volkswagen makes a mistake, and so far Ronnie Osborne in the number 55 has not made one. So first, second, and third, not much of a change at all as far as the distance between any of the 3 of them. Dick Pearson slowing off the pace a little bit in the number 2, and looks like something might have happened to Dick in the number 2 as he crawls real slow to the infield. And apparently that's where he might lay resting. So we'll see if Mike throws a caution, which he does. So not a good place for Dick Pearson, as Dick apparently has an overheating problem. Maybe the car just quit on him, as he came out of number 2 a little bit squirrely, and that might have been just enough to throw the water from the radiator back into the carburetor or something. So we'll regroup with Ronnie Osborne out in front in the 55. Bruce Cartier in the number 77 will be on the outside of him. This should be a good dash off the last turn coming out of number 4. Then I do believe it's a 16 car Jerry Venn, and on the outside of him will be the number 7 Billy Blackadar. Then the 91 of Ray Brown, as we said, the 66 going into the pits of Jimmy Graham.
Might cost $289 for a new center port cylinder.
$289.
And I can get a new head for like $60. New center port cylinder.
Yeah.
Might cost $289.
Pull 3 out.
Okay, Dick Pearson being helped off the track, and Dick will sit out. A pretty good race so far for number 55, Ron Osborne. And Ron, of course, a week ago won the 4-cylinder race. Let's see if he can hold the lead. Let's go back to Greg.
Okay, they've got him rolling again as they push Dick Pearson's car into the pit, the number 2 car, Pinto. We said we were pretty much Pinto power, or Ford power, I should say, until Ronnie Osborne showed up with that little Volkswagen. He's been throwing fits to the guys so far in the last couple of weeks. So they are off again. So the race goes on with the little Volkswagen. Osborne out in front in the 55, Cartier in second, Jerry Venn running in third in the 16, and Bill Blackadar in number 7 in fourth. Good job by Ronnie Osborne and the little Volkswagen. Okay, I wrote on those. NASCAR was the first one, and I wrote on it. Super job by Ron Osborne out of Plastow in a number 55 Volkswagen. Followed up by the 77 Bobcat of Bruce Cartier out of Epsom. And third spot was Jerry Venn in the number 16. So a good hand for Ronnie Osborne in a little VW. Okay, we do have our lucky winners as far as racing goes.
Last week here on Channel 12, you saw that little yellow VW race around the track in front of everybody. Ron Osborne from Plastow won a week ago. He came back and duplicated it. Tough week again for Dick Pearson. As you may remember, a week ago, Dick hit the wall early and had to settle for a third-place finish. This week, he bailed out of the race. Second-place finisher Bruce Chartier, followed by Jerry Venn. We'll be back with a 6-cylinder race right after this.
Roger Tower, this is...
We're back for the 6-cylinder race, and a week ago, Dave McGreevy of Laconia and Morris Palmer of Belmont and Larry Record of Belmont were the top 3 finishers. Tonight in the field, McGreevy, the top point getter in the 6-cylinder, will be in the race, along with Rex Parent, Sr. of Tilton, Morris Palmer out of Belmont, Dave McGreevy of Laconia, Chip LaQuire of Franklin, Kathy Kay from Tilton, Greg Fillmore from Loudon, Terry Kopp from Laconia, Mike Royer of Holderness, and Howard Smith, and they're in the race tonight. Those are the races in our 6-cylinder race. Stick with us. After this, we have the big the big cars, the 8 cylinders, and then they'll have the big fireworks display here at Bryar. Hope you're enjoying the call of the race with Greg Bryar. And, of course, Don and Lulu Breimer invite you all to come out for Star Car Racing. There's always something going on here at Bryar. Currently ranked number 1 in the point standings in 6-cylinder, Dave McGreevy with 182 points. Number 2 is Mike Royer with 158. Let's go to Greg Bryar.
As Terry Kopp got out to a good jump, and so did Mike Royer in the number 3. Mike Royer now in front, as Mike came from nobody's land in the rear of the pack. As we said, he's second running in points, and this sure isn't going to hurt him at all. Morris Palmer looks like he made a move out there in the 85. Rex Parent Sr. in the 58, running in third now. Terry Kopp in fourth. We don't know what happened to the 27 car, as he is not out there. That was driven in the qualifier by Howard Brown. Looks like Morris Palmer making a move on Mike Royer, so 85 now in front of number 3. David McGreevy having to go by in the 5E, Rex Parent in the 58. Greg Fillmore running in the 5th spot in the number 44. Morris Palmer running real strong in the number 85 out in front. It's a new position for Morris, as Morris is usually running in the middle of the field. But he's found himself new energy running out in front tonight. Did real well in the qualifier until he got behind a couple of lap cars, and they didn't really go the way he wanted them to go. So Morris Palmer in the 85 out of Laconia out in front, and David McGreevy trying to make his move on Mike Royer in the number 3. And David's got the inside groove, and let's see if Mike jumps back and collects it on the inside, but apparently he's not going to be able to. So David McGreevy in the 5E running in second now. And third, Mike Royer. Greg Fillmore in fourth, getting by the 58 of Rex Parent Sr. Morris chauffeuring like he's never chauffeured before. Got himself a few car lengths lead over the second place driver, your high point man, David McGreevy in the 5V. Morris getting by, or trying to get by, Terry Kopp in the 99. And Terry didn't help Morris out at all on that one, as he kind of got him slowed down a little bit more than he wanted to be in the corner. The leader, 85, Morris Palmer. First time this season. David McGreevy getting by Terry Kopp in the 99. Number 3 of Mike Royer holding on to the 3rd spot, as Rex Parent got tangled up a little bit in the 58 with the number 6 of Chip LaGuire. As Morris is driving a race like he hasn't driven before out here. Finally getting a little bit of confidence in the new car that he purchased from Billy Keyser. As he's hitting the corners real hard tonight and looking real pretty. 85, as we said, got his nose pickled after the first race with a new paint job. Morris found out what racing rubber was all about, and he's been doing super with it ever since. Lake City Auto Body, the 85, Morris Palmer. Mickey Mouse Racing, a 5E, David McGreevy. In third, Royer's Auto Wrecking, Mike Royer in the number 3. me see. Putting in 4th spot, I'm not sure. I think it could be Terry Kopp in the 99, but then again, it might be the 58 Rex Perrin. Greg Fillmore, I should take that back. Greg Fillmore in the 44. Then the 58 of Rex Perrin, the 99 of Terry Kopp. As Morris is not making any mistakes out there tonight, such as was made for him in the qualifying event. And it's still 85 Morris Palmer on his last lap. David McGreevy also on the last lap in the 5B. Then Mike Royan, the number 3, and Greg Fillmore in the 44. So good job by Morris Palmer. He must be tickled pink to win his first one this year. As your race goes on, and going around, looked like Greg Fillmore tried to roll on the inside. Mike Roya, so Mike finishes himself in 3rd. So Morris Palmer, first checkered flag this season in the 85. So a good hand for Morris.
Palmer with a Chevy out of Belmont, New Hampshire, a week ago, finishing 3rd, moving up and winning his first race of the summer here at Bryar. We'll have the big 8-cylinder cars coming up right after this. Point standings at the top in this 8-cylinder race. The top point getter, Mike Kay out of Tilton, has not entered in this race with his 170.5 points. And Phil St. Hilaire came up with a first place finish in his qualifying to move into 2nd, 164 points. So if Phil can finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, he can move into the top spot in the 8-cylinder Star Car Racing. And Phil will be in car number 783, a Camaro out of Loudon. Also entered in this 8-cylinder race, Butch Parker from Clinton, Mass, driving a Chevy 817. Lee Wilson in car number 89 out of Henniker. Doug Nelson from Canterbury, car 33. Slim Martell out of Laconia, car number 23. The Trophy Dash winner, Brian Davis out of Center Harbor, car number 97. Paul Brown from West Epping in car 03. Mike Hall from Chichester in car number 80. Bill Romero from Belmont, Jeff Hawkins from Guilford, Pat Patton from Belmont, and Nicky Claremont from Laconia. Let's go to the race.
As Mike kept the yellow out, apparently the pace was a little bit too strong, as Jeff Hawkins does not belong way at the rear of the pack. Don't know if Jeff has a problem or not. Maybe he'll elect to stay there. And apparently that's what he elected to do, as we do have the Grapponi crew out on the track doing something, and the caution stays out. So guy's a little bit over anxious. But it is 33 on the inside. Dougie Nelson, Nelson Trucking. Pat Patton, Pat's Auto on the outside in the number 7. Billy Romprey in the 3 Junior. The 817 of Butch Parker out of Clinton, Mass. Then Nicky Claremont in the 22. 89 Lee Wilson. As Lee moves up a little bit, then Glenn Martell in the 23. On the outside of him will be Brian Davis in the 97. Then Phil St. Hilaire. Apparently a little bit of oil or water out on the track. Okay, the guys are tightened up pretty good. So it's going to be Clinton, Mass. It is Butch Parker in the 817 against Belmont's number 7, Pat Patton.
The winner gets this amount. Not that's how much we collected.
Yeah.
That's half, right?
Yeah. We'll go after this, okay?
Yeah. Okay, I'll be down there whenever.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll pick up the pace this time around. Hopefully everybody will stay real tight together, and that'll give us a green from Mike Merrill as they are moving pretty good. See what Mike thinks, and he must think it's pretty good as they get the green. So going into turn number 1, it's Parker and Patton side by side. So Patton in the number 7, Butch Parker in the 817 as Butch is hitting turn number 3 and 4 real hard. Lee Wilson's got himself in there in the 89 in the second spot. But it's still Patton, the youngster out there in the number 7. Parker's staying tough on the outside of him, though, in the 817. Lee Wilson holds on to the third spot in the 89. Brian Davis in the 97, and 3 junior Billy Romprey is hitting it hard. Glenn Martell goes on the inside of Billy. And Butch gets out into the weeds that time in the 817. Patton still running out in front. So Patton in front in the 7, Lee Wilson in the 89 running in second. Running third, coming up from more or less the rear of the pack, the 97 of Brian Davis. Glenn Martell now running in fourth. And this is tight racing. And it looks like the 817, Butch Parker, was dragging something a little bit lower than what he wanted to be. And Patton, as the pressure staying right on him, and quite a chain they've got out there. Nicky Claremont getting by Billy Romprey in the 3 junior. It's still Patton in the number 7, running real good out in front. The youngsters being followed by Lee Wilson in the 89, Brian Davis, as Phil St. Hilaire is trying to make his move. And we got 2 cars that are hung up together. That was Billy Romprey in the 3 junior and the 817 of Butch Parker. And that threw them off the pace dramatically. So Wilson's feeling a lot of pressure in the 89 from the 97 of Brian Davis. But they're staying tight and they're staying close. They're just waiting for a mistake, one guy to the other. The horsepower staying pretty much the same with all the guys. As Billy Romprey and Butch Parker, after being tangled up together out there, the 3 junior and the 87 are having a good race of their own. That kind of knocked them off the pace a little bit. So your new leader is 89 Lee Wilson as he got himself by the 7 of Patton. Brian Davis is getting by him. Evidently, Patrick's got some problems once again in the number 7 car. So Patton, who ran real strong, is slowing off the pace a little bit. And looks like Pat just cooked another one, as he could almost feel it. Let's hope there isn't much oil out there from the mistake. And let's see if Butch hits the oil and Billy hits the oil. They both kind of hit the oil, but maybe not enough to stop. We'll see how your front runners hit it, as Lee Wilson running strong out in front. In the 89, he finds himself into the oil, as everybody else does too. Lee Wilson out of Henniker is definitely your leader now in the 89. As he's starting to walk away a little bit, as Patton had to pull out in the number 7. Tough break for the kid once again. Glenn Martell now has himself in the 3rd spot, but he's getting pressured from Nicky Claremont in the 22, and Nicky goes by him in 1 and 2. We said Butch Parker and the 3 junior Billy Romprey are having a good battle of their own. Brian Davis holding on to the 2nd spot in the 97. And going around, it looks like that was your leader as he hit the oil. The 89 to Lee Wilson is bringing out the caution flag. So tough break for Lee. Your front runner going around in turn number 2. We said everybody figuring out there's a little bit of slipperiness out there in turns 1 and 2 that came from Pat Patton's car as he did cooking engine. So that gives an opportunity for everybody to regroup once again and start all over.
Okay, with car number 7, Pat Patton cooking an engine. It left some oil on the track. And once again, we're going to go back and watch Lee Wilson, the leader out of Henniker. Tough break right here. As you'll see him coming around the near turn, he'll hit that oil patch and spin out into the weeds. Let's watch it. This is leader Lee Wilson out of Henniker. Right here, he'll hit the oil. Now they'll regroup. They'll start all over again. Let's go back up to Greg.
We said, unfortunately, that was from the car of your front runner at the time, number 7. As Pat looked down and saw the oil pressure gauge, and it apparently didn't say a heck of a lot. And that's a shame, too, because he was running real strong out in front, no doubt about it. So doing a real super job. Okay, Nicky still out there. They're going to make one more lap into the speedy drive and work the stuff in. As we said, it's going to be a little bit slick on that corner. I'm surprised the guys got through it as long as they did, as they all picked up a lap anyway. So I don't believe this is how they're going to be set right at the moment. So we'll resume activity coming out of 3 and 4 and see exactly what Mike thinks about it. And apparently he thinks it's pretty good. So we're off once again. Brian Davis running out in front as Nicky goes real wide and lets Glenn Martell get on the inside of him. We know how Glenn chauffeurs on the outside. But 97, Brian Davis is your front runner out of Center Harbor. Nicky Claremont in the 22, Glenn Martell running 3rd. Then Phil St. Hilaire in the 783. Butch Parker in the 817. 3 junior Billy Rompery and 89 Lee Wilson. And Brian is pulling himself away a little bit out there. As we said, the oil hasn't gotten out of hand as far as the guys running in it. It's worked in pretty good now, so everybody's used to it being there. Unfortunately, the 89 of Lee Wilson suffered the most. Brian Davis, 97 out of Center Harbor. Your front runner, Nicky Claremont, with a hot right front brake as per usual, is running in 2nd in the 22. Glenn Martell keeping the old pressure onto him. And the 23, then Phil St. Hilaire in the 783, and Butch Parker in the 817, Lee Wilson in the 89. So these guys go through breaks like Grant through Richmond. As Glenn stays right on the tail of Nicky, 22 and 23, with Brian Davis setting an awesome pace out there. And 1 lap to go for Brian. I think this will be Brian's first victory of the season. And everything pretty much stays the same as Nicky's still burning up on the right front. And it's going to go to Brian Davis, 97 from Center Harbor. Nicky Claremont.
Okay, tough night for Lee Wilson, who had the lead early and spun out. And Brian Davis, who won the trophy dash tonight, also wins the 8-cylinder feature race. We'll be back to wrap it up from Bryar right after this. All right, recapping the winners quickly tonight. Ron Osborne in the 4-cylinder. Morris Palmer took the 6-cylinder. And the 8-cylinder, it went to Brian Davis out of Center Harbor. We're watching the Star Car races on the 4th of July Eve. And Don and Lulu have put together kind of a fun night for the crowd on hand, a fireworks display. And we hope to bring you a good part of that fireworks display from Bryar Motorsport Park here in Loudon.